that we make a mystic connection with Marcus Mosiah Garvey and the ancient Kemetic character known as Anubis, also called Anpu. Now, the status of Anubis or Anpu, of course, the debate will always go on. It will range from, I don't believe in nobody with no dog head, to someone saying, no, Anubis never existed. Anubis was a principle. To a next person say, no, Anubis was a king, but they just portrayed him that way. Well, you see, what we're getting into this evening, any one of those points there would not stop the meditation from going through, because we're looking now at the scientific revelation of at least what we intend to put on the table this evening. I really hope that you are with me. So let us give thanks to Marcus Mosiah Garvey and I as Bobo Shanti. We have a special vibration, a special place where we place Marcus Mosiah Garvey himself as the God prophet, as the individual that came before the coming of the Lord. Well, I think in general, Rastafari do see Marcus Garvey as that forerunner, the individual that come and cut and clear, make straight the way of the Lord in many different ways. We'll get into some of that this evening. All right. I want to begin here. What you're looking at here is a glyph of the Kemetic deity known as Seth. And Seth has been, what would I say, characterized as the devil or Satan in many different cases. Because you would have heard of Seth wrestling with Osiris and putting Osiris into the coffin and getting him chopped up in several pieces. That is Seth. And then you would have heard of Seth wrestling with, his nephew, Horus, for some years until Horus conquers Seth and gains the victory for his daddy, Osiris. You usually get the story like that. So Seth now would be characterized as Satan or the devil or some evil vibes because of that story. Now, for those who take their time to do a more serious in-depth study, you would notice that Seth does not always appear to be this satanic character. In fact, in many cases, Seth would have gone before to protect the coming forth of Ra. Seth clearly, like a forerunner, would cut and clear to make sure Ra can pass through. But before we go to all of that, now I'm going to read a few things here. This one is coming from Ancient Egypt Online. And it is speaking about, you guessed it, Seth. And it says here, Seth, Siket, Suket, was one of the most ancient of the Egyptian gods and the focus of worship since the pre-dynastic period. Now, this is very important, family. We are going to be concentrating on this pre-dynastic period vibration tonight. Pre-dynastic means before the dynastic period of Kemet. So in other words, in ancient Kemet, you have the dynastic period that began about 3100 BC, before the Common Era, BCE. So that's like about 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. So anything before that, you have the pre-dynastic period, because you have Dynasty 1, Dynasty 2, the third dynasty, the famous 18th dynasty, the fourth dynasty. I think those were the pyramid builders dynasty. So these are the dynastic periods of ancient Kemet. But there's a period before that history hardly speaks about, because it can hardly find enough information to really bring to you. And the little that they find, they try to hide it from us. It's the pre-dynastic period of Kemet. So ancient North Africa, ancient Kemet, was definitely still in a glorious age before the dynastic period. Remember, Nama was the one that united Upper and Lower Kemet. So that means there was something to unite before he came and united them. So history did not begin for ancient Kemet or ancient Northeast Africa when Nama or Menes came and united the two lands. And keep in mind, that southern Kemet was very closely knit to ancient Nubia going into Kush. So we have to keep in mind the Ethiopian presence in all of this. So speaking of Seth now, it clearly shows you here that this character, Seth, is a very old character. Yeah, Seth is older than some of the prime gods that we like to talk about. We're going to show you all of that. As part of the Enad of Heliopolis, he was the son of Newton-Geb and the brother of Osiris or Asar, Heru the elder, Isis, and Nephthys. Okay, good. Now it says here, if you notice, that Heru the elder, which is different than Heru the younger, or Horus the elder. Follow us good. Seth was a storm god associated with strange and frightening events, such as eclipse, thunderstorms, and earthquakes. He also presented or represented the desert, and by extension, the foreign lands beyond the desert. His glyph appears in the Egyptian word for turmoil, confusion, illness, storm, and rage. Seth was considered to be very strong and dangerous and strange. However, he was not always considered to be an evil being. Is that so? However, he was not always considered to be an evil being. Seth was a friend of the dead, helping them to ascend to heaven on his ladder. So Seth helping people to go to heaven. Wow. The devil? And he protected the life-giving oasis of the desert, and was at times a powerful ally to the pharaoh, which is the Nesut Bete, and even to the sun god Ra. So we're seeing here that Seth, again, because you have to keep in mind, even when we get conscious and we're checking the Egyptian hieroglyphs, sometimes we still approach it as if it's Christianity we're dealing with it. So it's God and the devil fighting here, etc., etc. Wherein even the God and the devil fighting, cosmics collide. And out of confusion and chaos, you can have stability too. And again, a lot of the Seth within you and the Heru within you, because we have Seth within us and Heru within us. All right, let's follow it good. So it is showing you here that this Seth character that some of us see as Satan, and say his name is Satan. Yeah, this Seth character has not always been seen, as the writer is saying here, as an evil being. For he would assist ones to go up on the ladder to get to heaven, helping them to ascend. He's the God of the desert, yes, but what is he doing in the desert? He's protecting the life-giving oasis. So when you come into the desert, you can get a sip. He has always been seen as a powerful ally to the pharaoh and even to Ra. So as you can see now, in the hours of the night, in the book of Gates, when you see Ra coming through on his back, and then the evening now, in the hours of the night, you have what you call the snake again? A pep?
Yeah.
Yeah, a pep coming through here. This is Satan here. Look, the devil here. And who you see protecting Ra, the same Heru, you know, that he and him were supposed to be fighting over. But you see Seth protecting the Ra on his back as they're going through the hours of the night. You understand it? This is high vibration. And then you can see the Kente Mente jackal dogs. The Kente Mente jackal dogs, as they would call them, the dog and the dogons, the dog on, leading, even as you can see, even latched on to the bark of Ra. So this is why now what we just read here clearly showing you that the Seth character has also been seen as a powerful ally to the Kemetic Nesut Bete, to the king, and as well as a powerful ally to Ra himself, the sun god. The earliest representation of Set can be found on a carved ivory comb from the Amratian period, Naquada first, 4,500 BC to 35 BC, Orthodox dates, pardon me. And he also appears on the famous scorpion mace head. His worship seems to have originated in one of the most ancient settlements in the town of Nubit, Komombo, the upper or in upper southern Egypt, which I said earlier is bringing us into ancient Nubia, bringing us specifically into what you call ancient Kush at the time. So according to what is said there, you find ancient evidence of him in Naquada. And you can look at the map here. You see where it's located, even in ancient Kemet. But the vibration is that they have fragments of glyphs and wall writings where Seth has been seen coming deeper in the south, deeper in the kingdom of Niam and Taraseti. In Taraseti specifically, you have evidence of the god Seth. And that is real pre-dynastic period, way before the dynastic period. But let me just read something here. It says here, Nubit, near modern Kuth, lies close to the entrance, pardon me, to the Wadi Hamamat, the doorway to the eastern desert and its gold deposits. And the city took its name from the word for gold, which is to say Nubit or NBT. That's why some people tell it Nubia means gold, which also means ruler or lord. Nubia, the land of gold. I'm sure you've heard of that. As a result, Seth was sometimes called he of Gold Town. Nubit was the most important of the ancient settlements and was located close to the site of Naquada, which I just showed you a moment ago, the Naquada settlement from which the early culture takes its name. Pre-dynastic worship of Seth was also evident in the 19th nomes of Upper Egypt. All right, now let me say something here about the 19th dynasty now. Okay, let's read this. At this point in history, Seth was clearly associated with Upper Egypt and was a popular and esteemed god. However, by the second intermediate period, he was associated with the Hyksos, who probably saw a similarity between Seth and Baal. Follow this good, eh? And so he became seen as a force of evil. He was then rehabilitated by the 19th dynastic pharaohs, notably Seti I. That's where his name comes from, whose name means man of Set, only to be recast as an evil deity by the Greek, Romans, and Christian theologians. So you see who take it up now and cast Seth back as the devil again. Although, yes, Seth may have been in a wrestle with Heru, but what does that really mean? Do we want to take that ancient theology, which may be teaching us how to balance life, and turn it into some drama story about God and the devil fighting? This is very serious, you know, because at the same time, as we were speaking of the same beast within man, when it comes to its fullness, that is where you find the devil in flesh, because the devil does come in flesh. But will you make the devil in flesh overtake you? But anyway, what I was really highlighting though, is that the ancient God known as Seth was seen there way before what is known as the dynastic period. Now, also let me highlight this as well. The ancient God known as Heru. Now, many ones would argue that Heru is actually Ra, which I personally am of the opinion that the falcon head gods all are the same, but under a different expression, that's all. If you study Islam, they have 99 attributes of Allah. So you have 99 names that Allah has, 99 attributes, but it's only one Allah. Is the very same thing here. So in other words, you're not looking at many gods, you're just looking at different expression of the one God. Even the concept of the Father and the Son and all that is the one God, you know, different expression. So it's the same thing here. Remember that the archaeologists just began to discover this. This is not a well taken care of hand-me-down. Yes, it has been hand-me-down and we can see it still there, fresh, that we can read it. But we had to rediscover this stuff. People were digging a lot of this out of the sand. And then they obviously went and put them in their museum for quote unquote safekeeping. Okay? Some of us, we just learn in this language here. Many of the knowledge that we have of this, we read it from the same thieves and archaeologists that went and documented it for us. Give thanks for all scholars that had to come and do their own research and take people back to Egypt and back to Kemet and study the hieroglyphs for themselves. Even those that are doing archaeological work as we speak on the ground right now. So you have to understand and be able to chronicle our experience when it comes to this knowledge here. So in a sense, a lot of us, we are still learning and unraveling. So it's easy for us who just start to learn to read this, to confuse Ra and Heru and say Ra is Heru or Ra is not Heru. But as I'm saying, family, when you really look on it on the real scientific level and not on the sheer literal level, you will understand the difference and see where the concept of Heru is Ra. This is Heru in the form of Ra. Remember, you have different Ra's here. Yeah, Kepara is a Ra. That's the dung beetle with the sun. Hathor has the sun between her horns. So if the sun represents Ra, that means anywhere the sun is Ra. When the sun is on the ram become Amun Ra. Without the sun on the head of the ram, it's just Amun. But the sun also goes on Canoe as well. So you have to understand the sun does go on Sekhmet as well. So and the sun don't go everywhere. I never see the sun on Osiris's head. This is a deep science. So wherever you see the sun, you have Ra. So this is the sun on Horus or Heru. It is Ra. That is why the falcon head god Ra is the same Heru with the sun. That's really what it is. Now, so when you look at this now, this is Ra. You must be able to distinguish too. I mean, as I said, it's the same Heru, but it's Ra because the sun, you see the sun on his head here. This is Heru here, fulfilling this task. And then now, this is Sokar. So, wow, this is Sokar and Sokar here as well. And these are different falcon head gods. I'm showing you all of this for a reason. Not just teach, it's a good lesson as well, but it's fitting into the subject tonight. Good. All right, fair enough. What you're looking at here is a combination of three deities. You're looking at Ptah, Sokar, and Asar. So that's Osiris, Sokar, and Ptah combined into one God. See them here? The three of them combined into one God. So the concept of a Trinity, because I always hear one saying, oh, in Egypt, the Trinity is a mother, father, and son. I agree with that. I could never agree with that. In the heavens, the Trinity is a mother, father, and a son too. And that's the oldest book. But 180 degree from the mother, father, and son in the heavens, 180 degrees precisely, there's the Trinity of the three male beings, the prophet, priest, and king. Just like Israel ever have a king, Israel ever have a priest, Israel ever have a prophet. I'm not running from that. And if it's ancient Kemet we're talking about, well, look at here. The 3-in-1 is seen as three male beings in one character to make the Ptah, Sokar, Asar. That's the name specifically of the deity. Very good. All right. So you get an understanding here again that when you look on the glyphs, you can't just look at everything with a falcon head and say, oh, that's Horus there. No, you see Sokar is usually seen mummified, but not all the time. And sometimes you see Sokar without anything on top of its head. So you, outside of reading the name, you must be able to figure out and identify the character. But you see, the name is just a different expression of the same being, because the same Horus is called Raharakate. Raharakate is still different than the Ra. You know, and you got Horus the blind, Horus the one eye, Horus the elder, Horus the young one. You have different Horus of Edfu. You have different levels of the Heru. But because they have the name Horus, one will say, oh yeah, this is Horus. But then Sokar is a next type of Horus, but just that the Hor is not seen in the name, but we just think it's somebody else. Follow me good, man, Rastafari. All right, good. Very good. I hope you're with me. Now you see, because you see the Horus character. Horus older than Osiris, eh? Oh, how Horus can be older than Osiris, and Horus is the son of Osiris. Yeah, Horus is older than Osiris. In fact, there's something I'm looking for here. I didn't put it in the slide, but I'm going to get to it right now. Let me show this to you. All right, just pardon me here. Now look at this. If you look at this, right? Now, this is a Tumra. And follow me good, eh? According to the story, Atumra and Mut, I don't know why they don't put Mut here, but anyway, Atumra and Mut brought forth Shu and Tefnut. Follow this good. So Shu and Tefnut, the air and moisture, had two children, which is Geb and Nut, the earth and the sky. Geb and Nut. All right, that's the story that we know. Fair enough. And then Geb and Nut had Nephthys, Osiris or Asar, Isis or Aset, and Seth. All right. And then Osiris now had Anubis with Nephthys and had Horus with Isis. Good. Now, Seth and Horus, both of these gods, as I just showed you, that's why I showed you what I showed. Seth and Horus, both of these gods, are older than this story. Follow me good, eh? Seth is older than this story here. The same story that said Seth is the son of Nut and Geb. It doesn't mean that may not be so, but because you have to understand what Nut and Geb represent. They actually represent the elements of creation, the earth and the heavens and everything that bring forth life. So it doesn't put a damper on Seth. In fact, it makes Seth look like one of the first created beings, because Nut and Geb are really, again, the earth and the sky. Of course, you know, life come out of the earth, etc., etc. And then Shu and Tefnut, really the air and the moisture specifically, which represent, you know, the elements that create all things coming out of the black hole. Good, but I'm just trying to show you now that we may look at this very literal, and then now Seth becomes Osiris' brother, and Horus becomes Seth's nephew, and all of that kind of funny jazz there. And that is what plays with the mind, because I'm showing you Heru and Seth, and to a certain degree, Anubis is older than everything going on here, even Osiris. Even Osiris may be seen as the chief god, yes, which that doesn't mean he is not. But remember, that Osiris is the father of both Anubis and Heru. But Anubis and Heru can be considered older than Osiris. Eh? All right, good. I'm so happy that you're here. I hope you're understanding everything that I'm saying here. All right. Now, let's keep it close, family. Let's get to what we're talking about tonight. So Kente Mente, I say Kente Mente, pronounced different ways. So it has it here, Kente Mente, or Kente Mente. But anyway, Kente Mente was an Egyptian god of the necropolis of Abydos. It is thought that his temple at Abydos, founded in the late pre-dynastic period, was the first to be built there. The sun Seth died in the west and rose reborn in the east, so the name, which means for or most of the Westerners, refers to the dead. All right, it goes on here to say, not a geographical location. He was depicted as a man swathed in bandages, like the mummiform Osiris wearing the crown of Upper or Southern Egypt. All right, let us go through this one here quickly as well. This says Kente Mente, and many other spelling, is the divine name or title form of the ancient Egyptian mythology. It means foremost of the Westerners, chief of the Westerners, where the Westerners referred to the dead. Kente Mente was the name of a jackal-headed deity